there, I'm Julie, Fei-Fan Balzer, and I've taught literally thousands of students over the years. And I've always found that there are a couple different ways that students like learning. Now, there is no right way to learn or a wrong way to learn. It's just better to know your own personal preferences, right? Because I think once you know your preferences, you can find the right teachers, the right classes, the right situations for yourself. So I've always liked to learn through the process of doing, and part of that is also watching other people do and then extracting lessons from it for myself. There are other people who like a much more sort of strict lesson. Do step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, and get step 5, right? And I think I used to try to teach everyone. I do still, to a certain extent, try to get as many people as possible, but I think a lot of the times I'm really interested in learning through doing. So I turned on the video camera for a little session with myself where I was figuring out how to use some of the new stamps I designed, because even though I designed them, they're really designs in my head until they become physical objects. And while I was doing it, I realized that there were actually a couple of great techniques that you might be interested in. And so if you watch this video, you'll see that there are 4 big techniques that I think you should pull out from this. And I do have a companion blog post that goes through in great detail each of those 4 techniques, so that if you are the kind of person who needs it a little more step-by-step and less wanting to decode it for yourself, you can find that there on my blog at blog.balzerdesigns.com. But without any further ado, let's get into it. So this is a book that I'm teaching in a class this fall. It's a really cool book, and one of the things that I love about it is that the pages are removable. So you can, start something, make a mess, and then pull the pages right out. So I thought we could just pull out a page. And this has a lot of acrylic ink on it, so none of this is going to reactivate, which is great. And I am going to use this set of stamps that I designed for art foamies. So one of the things that I'm thinking about as I begin is, what is my goal with this page? What is my goal in this arting experience? And mostly I just want to see how these stamps print out, maybe do a little pattern work. And so because that's in my head, what I'm doing when I prepare is I'm just getting what I need for that one thought. So I like to use a gelatin plate as my inking palette for my foam stamps. I find it just much easier than using traditional palette paper or anything like that. And I'm using this warm white paint that I mixed up because I think it'll go really well here. And since I'm going to do some patterning, I'm thinking the large stamp is probably too large, and maybe I should go with the medium or the small. Let's do the medium. Maybe mix the medium and the small. So I'm inking that up. If having the excess paint bothers you, you can wipe it off, but I think like part of a stamped image is that it's supposed to look slightly imperfect, so I'm just going to go ahead and let it be. How you start is always important because it determines where a lot of the rest of the pattern goes. So if inking up with a brayer feels daunting, one of the things that's nice to do with the gelatin plate, you saw me roll out some extra paint there, is that you can simply use it like a big ink pad. If I want to avoid getting the paint there, I just make sure that I don't push particularly hard there, and then you see I don't get it. One of the reasons I work on scrap paper is because then I can print off the edge and I don't worry about my table getting messed up. I used to work on top of like a Teflon sheet or something like that, but I prefer the way that paint is absorbed into the paper as opposed to constantly having wet paint that I have to wipe up and deal with. So now the next choice in the pattern, do I alternate? Do I flip? I think I'm going to alternate. So it's going to slightly overlap. And I'm just going to renew my paint pad here. To clean my stamp, I will simply stamp off onto some scrap paper. Similarly, if I want to clean my brayer, if I'm done with this color, which I'm not quite, obviously, because there's plenty left, I would just do this if I wanted to clean my brayer. So here is the stamping that I did. It looks really great, and I don't feel any need to have to like go the step further and finish the page. For now, this is what it is, you know. I had fun stamping it. It was kind of interesting to see how it went. I do have a whole back here that I could do if this is, yeah, it's such a thin layer of paint. This is pretty much dry to the touch. So why don't we try, I'm just gonna tuck this end under the gelatin plate. Let's use actually the really big one that I said was too big. I make a lot of decisions in the moment, on the fly, without a lot of pre-planning. I think it's one of my favorite things about making art is that you kind of can do essentially problem solving. So if I want to have flower on this page, then I should stamp like this. If I don't, then what I really need to do is take a piece of paper and just block off that side of the page. There we go. Beautiful. And once again, I can clean my stamp. If this version of cleaning is upsetting to you, you can absolutely use some water and a soft toothbrush and scrub this until it looks like new. So there is a ton of paint left on this gelatin plate. I probably put out too much paint. The good news is I keep all of my custom colors that I mix in little containers like this, is I can just scoop it back in. But we might as well make use of the paint that's out here and maybe add a little something to it. So since there's already paint out here, one fun thing that we can do is add some acrylic ink. Now this acrylic ink isn't something that normally goes very well with a gelatin plate just because it's so runny. But if I put it into the paint that's already here, what's going to happen is obviously the colors are going to mix, but also the heavier bodied paint is going to help that very thin acrylic ink make its way across here. Okay, and I'm going to clean my brayer onto my under paper. And then what if we do stamp in, stamp here, stamp in, stamp here, stamp in, stamp here. So I'm basically just stamping on and off the gelatin plate to try to get some impressions. So I'm overlapping the image, I'm turning it, I'm finding as much variety as I can with this one stamp. Okay, and again, my stamp is now mostly clean from having stamped off onto some scrap paper. I am gonna let this dry. I'm gonna be honest, I got impatient and I tested it a couple times and it wasn't dry. So I managed to pull some of the paint up. What can I say? I'm not a patient person. So now I'm gonna use a thin layer of paint. This is a transparent glaze that I have pre-mixed. You can watch my video on mixing glazes. I don't have quite enough paint, so I'm gonna add a little bit more. Looks like I still don't have enough paint. It's not going across here. Now I probably have too much, the Goldilocks effect, right? Too little, too much. I just want a really thin, nice thin layer of paint on here. Looks pretty thin. And I'm gonna press let's press this side down to the gelatin plate. And I can just use a plain piece of, again, I have some scrap paper here that I've been using. I probably shouldn't have used this paper that had some wet paint on it. It may have transferred to the other side, but you know what? I'm gonna call that fate. Okay, so the jelly paper pulled off some pattern, which you can see right there, but not as much as I would have liked. So one thing is to let this sit a little bit longer, but I say that we just go for it. Oh, yeah. There you go. So we probably could have sat longer to get a slightly less distressed, but I think it looks awesome. So to fill in this little side, which is essentially this strip, I'm going to add a lighter blue glaze. Just a little bit of paint. Oops. Right there. And see if I can't, in that one area, pick up some of the corner of the plate. Now I've gotten the backside kind of dirty, but you know, art is about play. Oh yeah, look at that. That light blue stripe there, it looks awesome. And again, I could go around filling in maybe like the gap across the bottom. Let's see if we can pull some more up here and get this really distressed look. This is one of many, many techniques I teach in my online gelatin printing class. A year of gelatin printing and bookbinding. Oh, I love how it filled in the gaps. Check that out. I think that this is so beautiful. It looks like just stressed wallpaper or something super cool to me. And I love the border now that it has with these lines. So these pages are going to be like this. They're not going to be together in the book. This is a little bit sticky, so I can't put it in, but it's going to be kind of like that. So I might decorate the insides of these before I put this back in the book, but check out how cool those stamps are. I love it. So I'm going to try an experiment. I'm going to spray this with water and then make sure that this is wet. I'm sort of leaving this side mostly dry. And then I'm going to try dropping the contrasting color on here, helping to spread it out with some water again. So to get this to lay flat and not curl like that, which is totally natural for paper, I'm actually going to use this gelatin plate to help hold the paper in place because paper sticks to the gelatin plate. And I'm really liking the effect of how it creates a glaze, the ink, the acrylic ink that I use plus the water on top of here, where you can see some of the background color. Oh, I just ran my finger through it. But you can see some of the background color, but you can also then really clearly see some of the flower shapes. So I have to say, I've been using, where is it? This acrylic paint, but it doesn't seem to be non-water soluble. Like, it's the weirdest acrylic I've ever encountered. It doesn't seem to, like, water is going to make some of this stamping go away, because this color that I mixed it using this as a base. And I've been noticing it lately that it just kind of disappears. See how the paint is like dissolving? Do you see all those little white bits? It's like dissolving in the water. I've never seen acrylic like this. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. Okay, I'm gonna let this dry and see what it looks like. Coming into the studio in the morning to see what I've left on the drying rack and how it has turned out is always such a fun and exciting like little gift in the morning. So let's go see how it all turned out. Just move my tea out of the way. But look how gorgeous this is. I love how it dried and how it turned out, and that transparency is awesome, and how you can still see the pattern. It just integrates the flower so much more into the page, which I love. And here's the one on the back. Still looks great. I feel like maybe I want to do some writing here or something to fill that little white space. I'm gonna have to think about it. And then this is what we did yesterday on the gelatin plate. And you can see how the edges are kind of blue. And that's because I used a lot of water and ink on this side and it just spilled on over. But again, I like it. I like that sort of distressing. So I am not going to push these any further for now. Like I said before, I really like to work on things in stages and bits and pieces instead of all at once. I think I put this in upside down. And so therefore, I don't feel the need to finish anything all at once. I just like to sort of solve one problem, create one thing, and then move on. Where did this page come from? Ah, there it came from. I actually think that the blue inking, which obviously wasn't on purpose, kind of had by accident, is fantastic. It really actually has some continuity now between these two facing pages. Well, I can't wait to fill the rest of this book up with lots more fun. And if you're interested in exploring art foamies and seeing what they can do, you can find them at artfoamies.com. I hope you enjoyed this video, whatever your learning style is. I always think it's fun to see how someone else even just holds a paintbrush, because I can take some of that into my art practice. A lot of times learning is not about what the person's trying to teach you, but it's about what you're taking away from that lesson. If you enjoyed this video, I hope you'll give me a thumbs up, leave a comment, tell a friend about this YouTube channel. All of that kind of stuff helps other people find the channel, which means that I can make more videos for you. So thanks so much for watching.